hoping and I'm praying that Justin is looking down from heaven, rejoicing that today there's some justice.
After nearly 35 years, Berkeley County Sheriff Dwayne Lewis announced a major break in the case of 5-year-old Justin Turner after deputies arrested his biological father, Victor Turner, and stepmother, Pamela Turner, on Tuesday. I'm investigative reporter Blair Sable. Thank you so much for joining us. This case has haunted the Moncks Corner community since March of 1989, when kindergartner Justin Turner never showed up for school one morning. His father discovered the body just 2 days later on his family's property in a camper, strangled to death. The same father who is now charged in his murder alongside his wife, who changed her name from Pamela to Megan Turner. Now, thanks to new forensic technology that could finally link the two to the murder weapon, along with several other pieces of evidence in the case. And as law enforcement combed through their older records and evidence to solve this case, we wanted to take a look at our own archival footage that captured the moments this story unfolded.
Elements of mystery continue to surround the death of 5-year-old Justin Turner. However, an autopsy report released today shows it was no accident. The Berkeley County coroner says the child died by strangulation. And Sheriff M.C. Cannon says he did not die accidentally in the camper shell just feet from his front door, where his body was found at about 8:30 yesterday morning.
The body was certainly put there. It would be no way that the child could have injured himself and died in that little compartment that he was in.
5-year-old Justin's body was found in this camper shell. He was lying in a cabinet underneath a convertible bench bed. And Sheriff M.C. Cannon says he believes the child died after he was reported missing at 3 p.m. Friday.
When I looked at it on Sunday afternoon, the child certainly wasn't deteriorating in any manner and looked basically like he hadn't been there more than maybe a few hours.
The sheriff says the child may have died as late as midnight Saturday night, more than 30 hours after his stepmother, Pamela Turner, reported him missing. A search of the area around Justin's home Friday failed to turn up any sign of the child. But within 10 minutes of the start of a second search yesterday morning, his body was discovered. Meanwhile, parents like Bronzell Blanding, who lives next door to the Turners on Horseshoe Road and who has 2 small children of her own, want officials to arrest whoever is responsible for Justin's death quickly, because they fear for their own children's safety.
We moved from Holly Hill because of something like similar, and then here, the same, it's something even worse, kidnapping, and here's a murder, it's terrible, and I'm frightened.
Sheriff's investigators say they're working round the clock on their investigation, but so far there have been no arrests in connection with the death of 5-year-old Justin Turner. On the police beat near Moncks Corner, Jim Ritchie, Live 5 News.
My little grandson, he loves to go across the street and play with the little Burbage kid across the street. And he's not allowed to. In fact, I don't even want him in the front yard anymore. I want him in the back.
Until somebody is caught and charged with this and found guilty, that don't mean we're going to relax, but that will mean that we'll be some tension off from this area.
At the time, the investigation gripped the community in fear for their children. But from the beginning, detectives believed the greatest danger Justin faced was in his own home. They were skeptical of the Turners' version of events, and in their arrest warrants, investigators noted multiple inconsistencies and red flags. For example, according to court records, Pamela told authorities that Justin had gotten on the school bus on March 3rd, but failed to return home. But witnesses told the police they didn't see him or his stepmother, who usually walked him to the bus that day. Victor was also overheard asking an officer moments before he discovered the body, what if someone had done harm to the victim, such as killed him, and that someone was in the family, what would happen to them, as he was wringing his hands.
This Berkeley County neighborhood looks peaceful and quiet today, but just how safe are the children who live here? According to the Berkeley County Sheriff's Department, the people who live here are as safe now as they ever were, and parents don't need to take any extra precautions, even though police still haven't arrested whoever murdered and sexually assaulted little 5-year-old Justin Turner about a week ago.
It is our opinion that they are as safe as any other area in the county and probably safer than many areas in the state.
Sheriff's deputies have stepped up security here in the Whitehall area, and they say they have officers patrolling every hour around the clock.
Justin was buried Tuesday, and just one day later, police and SLED agents escorted the boy's father and stepmother to Columbia, where they voluntarily took lie detector tests. Police aren't saying whether or not they passed. In fact, today police kept up their wall of silence for the second day in a row.
The previous releases included too much innuendo, incorrect information, and misleading quotes.
A special DNA test is being performed on the evidence to help investigators identify whoever is responsible for the murder. But for now, police say, the earliest they will release any more information is sometime next week. Carol Cox, Live 5 News.
As the investigation continued, investigators experienced challenge after challenge.
A surprise witness brought to the attention of Berkeley County Sheriff's investigators by the attorney for strangulation victim Justin Turner's parents may not have seen a thing. Berkeley County Sheriff's investigator Lieutenant Sidney Wren says 5-year-old Justin's kindergarten classmate put a story together about seeing Justin on the morning he was murdered as a result of news reports he'd seen and based on what he'd heard others say.
He's imagining certain things that might have happened just because of listening to other people say those type things. And this is what it appears to be.
Meanwhile, Lieutenant Wren says the Turners have told their attorney they do not wish to cooperate any further with the Sheriff's Department in the investigation into the death of their son.
I've been investigating criminal cases for more than 25 years, and this is the first time that I've ever had to fight a counter-investigation before even a suspect was named.
Meanwhile, the attorney for Justin's parents, Dale Cobb, was not available for comment on camera today about either the case or Wren's statement that he's conducting a separate investigation for the slain child's parents. Justin's body was found in a camper shell by his parents' home near Moncks Corner during a second search of the area for the child nearly 3 weeks ago. An autopsy shows the child had been strangled, but sheriff's investigators say there's no evidence to indicate whether or not his body had been refrigerated prior to its discovery. Investigators say samples of hair from the family's dog have been sent to the lab for comparison with hair samples found in Justin's hand. However, neither results from that test nor test results from blood samples taken at the scene have come back yet. The Sheriff's Department says it's pursuing other leads and has eliminated about a dozen people whose names have come up in the investigation, but it has not been able to eliminate the Turners' names yet. In Berkeley County, on the police beat, Jim Ritchie, Live 5 News.
Well, the years passed and one arrest was made in the case, Pamela Turner. But the charges were dropped. And though she remained a person of interest afterwards, she changed her name to Megan and moved with Victor to Lawrence County in the upstate, where they remained until their arrest this week. Sheriff Lewis says he never heard a word from them. Other members of Justin's family never gave up in the pursuit of justice, and it was what Justin's mother wanted before she died in 2004.
I woke up the other morning on March 3rd and saw a picture on my office wall of Justin, and all the memories came flooding back.
For Russell Pace, they were bad memories about the murder of his stepson, Justin Turner. Pace was married to Turner's birth mother until she died in 2004. On March 3rd, 1989, the kindergarten student disappeared from his home on Horseshoe Road in Moncks Corner.
It turned out to be a whirlwind of the day. I was at work, my wife was at work, and we got the phone call that Justin was missing.
2 days later, the news got worse. The 5-year-old's father, Victor Turner, found Justin dead inside a camper on the family's property. An autopsy revealed he had been strangled and sexually assaulted.
It was just 2 days of hell, actually, so until they found him.
Investigators focused on the victim's stepmother, Pamela Turner. After a coroner's inquest, a jury recommended Turner be charged with murder. Berkeley County deputies arrested her, but she was eventually released due to a lack of evidence. For Russell Pace, it means there's been no closure.
It's just hard to believe that the person who did it can live their life for 25 years and knowing and thinking that they got away with it. It's mind-boggling.
Today, the property where Justin Turner's body was found is a vacant lot. But Pace says his stepson's memory will live on forever, and he won't give up until his killer is caught and convicted.
I promised my wife before she passed away that I would continue the battle. She told me not to give up, keep it in the news, just, fight the battle for her. that was one of her last requests.
10 years later, their prayers would be answered.
Of course, my first reaction was hallelujah. From there, it was just emotions.
Arm in arm, tissues in hand, the family of Justin Turner stood side by side with Berkeley County Sheriff Dwayne Lewis as he made an announcement, one they've been waiting for years: arrests in his murder.
Tragic, horrendous murder. 5-year-old boy.
News came as a relief to them and the dozens of officers involved in the case over the years, including the very first on the scene. Pamela Turner, his stepmother, who later went by Megan, reported the boy missing on March 3, 1989. His father, Victor Buddy Lee Turner, found him just 2 days later in a camper on the family's property, strangled to death. Now the two are charged with Justin's murder. Authorities arrested them at their Lawrence County home on Tuesday.
Could have graduated high school, went to college, got married, had a child. But he wasn't. Because we believe these two people took that away from all of us.
The break comes after new forensic technology was able to link the murder weapon to marks on Justin's neck. Lewis says the two lied to investigators and acted suspiciously. Pamela was arrested at one point after a coroner's inquest, but the charges were dropped. Amy Parsons, Justin's cousin, who was 8 at the time of his death, says the family has never given up hope.
The hardest part is that Justin's mother can't be here to see what she wanted all these years. She wanted justice.
He was a precious kid.
Today, the Turners remain in custody at the Berkeley County Jail, and following their arrest, a summary court judge read them their rights as they appeared virtually, but set no bond due to the felony murder charges they are facing.
For 35 years, you have enjoyed your freedom. You do not deserve one day outside of those prison walls for what you did to Justin. You were supposed to take care of him, love him, and instead you tortured, abused, and murdered him. Your child. It takes a sick individual to do what you did to that baby.
They are expected to appear in front of a circuit court judge who may set a bond in the next month. For Gone Cold, I'm Blair Sable.